What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're back doing another preview video for round 2 of the Rugby World Cup. This one today is between Ireland and Tonga. We actually have both teams named, which is nice because World Rugby is struggling at the minute and getting those team sheets out. We do already have a bunch of preview videos up on the channel. You can go check those ones out after this one if you haven't already, because round 2 starts in just about 2 hours from me at the time of filming this, probably less by the time you guys are seeing this. But man, am I getting excited for another awesome weekend of rugby today. So as we do in the preview videos, we're going to have a run through the team sheet, see who's some good picks and bad picks and thoughts generally on the teams, and finally, of course, giving a score prediction. If you enjoy the video, make sure to hit that like button. It really does help the channel out, and subscribe if you're not already, because you know it's free, it's easy, it's awesome, it's great for the channel. So Ireland versus Tonga. Ireland last week played Romania in a pretty devastating game from Ireland. They just absolutely dominated all over the park. They put out the massive team going up against Romania, which took me a little bit by surprise, and they did not disappoint. So many players really stepping up, Bundyaki especially, just destroying Romania. Did concede some points. Romania were very happy to get on the scoreboard nice and early in that one. Just Ireland turning off for a second right at the start of the game. Romania making the most of it. Do get some points on the board, but yeah, from 6 minutes onwards, it felt like it was pretty much Ireland all the way. Going up then against this Tongan side. Now, there is a couple of changes to talk about, but ultimately, it's kind of the same team. It's kind of the big boy first team Ireland team once again. Now, this is kind of interesting to me. They're running the risk of injuries. They believe that they have the depth of squad. If any injuries come along, they can have these replacements. Now, Tonga is, again, quite a physical team, quite an impactful team. They'll come up with them with some big guys. They've had their own bolster of players as well now with that sort of regional switch that they've been making the most of. Some big names coming back in for Tonga now. Ireland are running the risk of that injury, and we'll see how they get on in this game. I would sort of put Tonga in line with a team like Samoa in the way they're playing the game. Of course, they played each other in the World Cup warm-ups, Ireland and Samoa, and it was an incredibly close game. I would probably put Samoa to beat Tonga if they just happen to play tomorrow and you just check the two teams out and see what happened. I think Samoa would win that game. But Tonga will absolutely be up for taking the challenge on and hopefully have a good game as well. So in terms of the Ireland team in the front row then, Andrew Porter, Ronan Kelleher comes in the hooker department, and Tyg Furlong to finish off that front row. So Kelleher starting over Herring this weekend, even though Herring did get his try last week, probably mixing it up just to, have everyone gets a bit of game time in, make sure you're playing that full first half, probably 60 minutes. And Andy Farrell is, of course, making those big decisions on who he wants for those big games. They've still got the Springboks. They've still got Scotland. You've got to do the quarterfinals onwards as well if you can get there. So, good to get some testing of different players in. In the lock department, Tygburn moves back to the 4 shirt after playing flanker last week and having an awesome game. Did he get 2 tries or 1 try? I'm trying to think off the top of my head now. And James Ryan retains in that number 5 shirt. Unfortunately, we won't be seeing Joe McCarthy. I thought he played well. I would maybe have liked to have seen him stay on for this game. They obviously want to test full Ireland team just to make sure they are in the warmest of conditions to get into the Springboks game. You do not want to go into it cold. But yeah, I'm a little bit concerned just about injuries creeping in for this Ireland team. And then in that back row, Peter O'Mahony goes into the 6 shirt this week with the return of Josh van der Fleer, Men's World Player of the Year, of course, last year. Comes back in that open side flanker, and Caelan Doris, who felt a little bit quiet for me in that Romania game. Every other player seemed to be just running around having a great time. Caelan Doris getting himself involved in the breakdown, in the ruck, supporting the rest of the team. I am not quite as many big mega carries and charging through the line and getting over for tries as we've seen him in the past doing, but still a superb player. So 1 through 8, you'd probably say this 1 to 8 is actually better than the 1 to 8 that played against Romania, and they look pretty solid. They stole quite a few of the Romanian lineouts. They were doing okay at their own lineouts, and the scrummaging work as well. They enjoy a big physical game as well. So solid 1 through 8. In the halfback partnership, Conor Murray comes in over Jameson Gibson Park, and Johnny Sexton retains at that 10 shirt. I've already seen a couple of people saying, oh my god, this is the injury time, this is where Johnny Sexton gets injured. I think a couple of people might have forgotten about, Johnny Sexton didn't play any of those World Cup warm-ups. He's had the game against Romania. He had sort of that 60 minutes on the pitch. Looked like he took a bit of a wrist injury in that game versus Romania after he scored one of his tries. He's looking good. I think maybe they could afford to skip him in this game, but, just have those minutes on the pitch. But again, another player they might want to make sure is just wrapped up in that bubble wrap before they move on to some of the bigger games. In the centre partnership, Bundyaki goes back in alongside Gary Ringrose. These two last week crushing it, just all over the park. Bundyaki getting 2 tries, like 170 metres made or something. Gary Ringrose got 3 try assists. I mean, what more do you want from a centre partnership? Absolutely fantastic work. I was very annoyed that I dropped Bundyaki from my fantasy team just before kickoff of the first game. Really wish I hadn't done that. It's going back to haunt me. And then finally in the back three, James Lowe takes the left wing, Mac Hansen coming in on the right wing, and Hugo Keenan in that fullback position, who also got himself over the try line last week. So 1 through 15, big Ireland team. This wouldn't surprise me to see this team quarters, semis, final. I feel like this is about as big as the Ireland team gets. I'm not even sure who you would put in. Maybe you'd probably want Dan Sheehan ahead of Kelleher as long as everyone was fit and healthy. And bar that, I think it's there. I think this is the biggest the Ireland team's probably going to be sitting at. So good luck to Tonga in this game, because I feel like Ireland absolutely out for blood. And then quickly in terms of the substitutions, Rob Herring, Dave Kilcoyne and Finlay Beelum will be taking over in that second half. Ian Henderson and Ryan Baird will also be the replacement forwards. I feel like we haven't seen Ryan Baird for a little chunk of time. To be fair, Joe McCarthy was doing so well. I thought maybe he could have got himself on the bench and come back in for that replacement lock, but apparently not. And then in the replacement backs, Craig Casey, Ross Byrne and Robbie Henshaw, who apparently has recovered from his injury that he had during the warm-up just before the kickoff of the last game. So Craig Casey and Ross Byrne come in. Again, this to me is Andy Farrell, testing the players, pulling the strings, making sure who's going to be his second choice, third choice. Obviously, last week it was Jack Crowley. I had to look at my notes then quickly. Jack Crowley was the replacement fly-half last week. So this turn goes to Ross Byrne. I like Ross Byrne. I think he's a good player. I wouldn't be surprised if just from the injury concerns they do play Johnny Sexton for 45-50 minutes and then might chuck Ross Byrne on a little bit earlier than we saw Johnny Sexton come off against Romania. But a solid team from Ireland. I can expect potentially some big scores coming from this game as well. In terms of the Tonga team then, sort of in line with, unfortunately, a couple of the preview videos, it's my own knowledge gap that comes from some of the tier 2 teams. Tonga are another team we don't get to see play a lot, unfortunately, in terms of TV coverage, but they have had a nice little bolster of some players moving in now, like I said, with that regional switch. 2 of the more noticeable names we were thinking of when we got around to the World Cup in the fullback shirt there, Piatau, who of course some of you might know more better as Charles Piatau, who was over in New Zealand playing for the All Blacks team. There was also the big talking point of Israel Folau coming into this Tongan side, going to be playing on the wing, but he picked up an injury just before the World Cup actually got started, so he won't be playing in this Tongan team. But Tonga, of course, like I said, a physical team. There's a couple of names I see on this list that are going to be up for some big tackles. Fifita, absolutely looking for some big smash in this one. But as for the rest of the Tongan team, unfortunately, has been the way with this World Cup. There's just a few teams that I'm learning about as much as some of you guys along the way. So if there is any other players that a Tongan subscriber says, you know what, who are your top 3 players you want to watch out for, make sure you do drop it down in the comment section. I'll be trying my best to learn along with the World Cup some of these teams that we don't get to catch a lot over here in the UK. In terms of past games for Tonga, they've been kind of hit and miss over the last few months. They beat Canada twice, 36-12 and 28-3. Canada have dropped off more recently, though. It feels like most teams are beating Canada. And then the games before that, they lost to Samoa 34 points to 9. They lost to Japan 21 points to 16, which was a pretty decent scoreline too. That's kind of closer considering what we saw with Japan versus Chile. They lost to Fiji 36 points to 20. And then looking a little bit further back than that, they did beat Australia A, Uruguay and Chile 39 points to 10 against Chile, but that was back in sort of November of last year. So Tonga are going to go into this one, first game of the World Cup for them. Really excited to see them. I think one of the big concerns from this one for a lot of you guys who are your Ireland supporters, will just be that injury mark. A lot of big names in there, a lot of people that are performing well. Johnny Sexton's playing well at the minute. Bundy Aki's playing well. Vito Mani got 2 tries last week as well. Tyg Byrne. These are players that are vital as they go on, through the rest of the World Cup. I've still got a lot of faith in Ireland to be getting through those qualification stages and going into the quarters. Injury concerns will be big for them, but I'm expecting this one to be a bit of a fiery game. So in terms of a score prediction, what do we think? What do we think for this one? I don't think this one will be as close as Ireland versus Samoa was. In terms of where Tonga are at, I mean, they're beating Canada, Uruguay, Chile. They're beating those teams. They're not beating Samoa, Tonga, or Fiji. Where would you sort of place them? I feel like I would maybe pick Tonga to beat Romania. So you look at how that Ireland score was against Romania last week, where they were, in that sort of mid-70s range. The Ireland team arguably is looking bigger than the team that went on to play Romania. So I'm going to say an Ireland win. I'm going to drop it down from that Romania score, though. I'm going to say Ireland to win this one. I'm going to say 40. That's where I'm going to go at, guys. But make sure you do drop down in the comment section your score predictions as well as your thoughts on the team. Make sure you're getting them up on Super Brew as well. You have a very short amount of time for the fantasy. You've got like an hour probably by the time you see this video. But you can do the predictor series as the games are going on, I think, as long as you get the score locked in before the game kicks off. But I hope you've all enjoyed this one today, guys. Of course, we've still got some big games coming up. Hopefully tomorrow when the teams get announced, Australia, Fiji, and England, Japan. They are set to be some massive games this weekend. Those are probably the ones I'm most excited for over the course of this weekend as a neutral. But I'm looking forward to those team announcements, so make sure you hit that subscribe button just so that you know when all the latest videos are out. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye-bye.